day. Your smile can chase all our fears away. Today is not just another day, but the start of a beginning. New heart is here to stay. Will happen every day.
Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm in a Disney film, and this is the build-up, the momentum, and the magic. Summer Watson, it's amazing to be here with you today. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Laura. This is very, very exciting. An exclusive live launch of this live, none other than with yours truly. Thank you so much for sharing that. That means the world.
Well, truly, it means the world to me for you to be part of this project, for this project to come together, for there to be so many brilliant individuals coming together for a common purpose.
Yeah.
And I would love for people to really understand the artists behind the music, who you are, how you showed up to be here in this moment. We appear to be in the same space in this moment, but we are in different countries. So where are you and where did you start? Because you have a very interesting story, Summer.
Well, as you may guess, I'm British, but I'm based here in Los Angeles. And, I've been singing all my life, recording and performing. Um, and that was mainly around the wonderful wealth of beautiful film music and classical music. I'm known for singing classical crossover music, which is, for anybody who doesn't know, it's just this breadth of beautiful music, but done in a slightly more popular way. I had the wonderful opportunity of recording my own album with Sony a few years ago that actually went to #1 in America. And as you had mentioned earlier, we recorded at the Abbey Road Studios in London when I was living in London at the time. I moved to America a few years ago, singing on film and working with wonderful other vocal artists. Last year, my beautiful golden retriever passed away, and she was my life, my soulmate. She really was this beautiful light and beautiful energy. And at that time, COVID obviously, really changed the world in which we are functioning in on a day-to-day basis. We didn't know how long it was going to be around for. And I found myself in the recording studio and wanting to write my own music. And for any artist out there, they'll understand that it is so important for us, no matter whether it's just for ourselves, friends and family, or for a wider audience, to really continue to be creative and to honor, what we've been given, which is this gift to craft that and then give it or gift it to the world. And that's what's so wonderful about this project, Album 22, is that, all different types of artists are coming together from all walks of life, all meccas, all areas in the world. You're in Canada, I'm in Los Angeles, and yet we all unite around the subject of music, quality music, and music with a message. And that's what this particular single is all about.
So the single that you were listening to when Summer and I first came on was actually her song This Life. And I would love for you to share some of the background and the feelings that you had around creating that, experiencing it.
It was so important for me because I had written for others. I'd written for film projects and really enjoyed that, working on the string arrangements. I had written for other artists that I was actually coaching with my vocal academy. And I had never really told my own story. And so I decided to tread new water and to begin to put some of the notes that I'd been writing throughout the years, and with this passion for a connection with the music, to be able to write my own music, hence then writing a 5-track EP that was released last year. And this is the brand new single called This Life. And This Life is really about how can I, in 3 or 4 minutes, get across this wonderful visual of something you called it like a Disney song, but more in the vein of like Out of Africa, the film Out of Africa, with the most beautiful landscapes that you can imagine, even if you've never been. So we can just step away from our Zoom meetings and the chaos at home, or and the work process that we all have to go through, and just be in another world for 3 or 4 minutes. And the lyrics are really from my heart to encourage everyone that no matter what is happening now, is that we are leading our lives from our hearts, and that when we smile, I mentioned in the lyrics, this helps us to realize that everything's going to be okay. We're going through challenging times. It's been a very bizarre 18 months. We don't know how long it will continue. And it's very important for us all to connect on a very authentic level from the heart, and to try to have compassion for everybody, and navigate how we're all going through life, because we don't have the distractions like we did before, with a quick brunch here and a meeting there and driving all over the city to get to work and so forth. We have been forced essentially to really go inward, and to look inward of how do we want to live our life. And for me personally, and I know that's where the synergy with this beautiful project comes in, is that it is crucial for us to lead every moment of our lives from our heart, and to work really hard and to be there for one another.
Mhm. And have you always been in that receptive mode of understanding the need to go inward, to not go without?
It's a great question. I have always been extremely compassionate. I've always been, very loving, and I love, just humanity. I love people. I've loved to meet all of my fans after concerts, and I love spending time with friends and family. I'm the type of, girlfriend or daughter that would just do anything for anyone. But I really think that, post breast cancer, post a train crash, then COVID, then grieving my beautiful golden, it makes you think, okay, we have a heart and we're doing the best we can, but actually it's possible to even do more. And the more I've taken that step of stepping into faith, of really sharing what I would share with friends and family to my audience through my music, is new for me. It's come through in previous songs when I've performed other people's music, but for me to actually write my own lyrics, it's a big step forward for me. And the more I've done it, and the more I've conveyed that message and talked to people, because it's coming, from my core, I really feel that, each and every one of us has a calling. And I really enjoy connecting with people to help them feel just a little bit better, no matter what, is going on in our lives.
That's amazing and so profound that you can say, breast cancer and a train crash and my golden. And it's just like, these are just experiences in your life that for somebody that's not in your life is like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, you were in a train crash, like you've had breast cancer. How did that influence you in your pursuit of your dream? Were you always on the path of music even before that? Were those kind of those turning point moments where it was like universe redirecting you onto your path?
Yeah, I mean, life is just so interesting. Everybody has a story. Everybody has, the graph of ups and downs. Some are more crazy than others, and some kind of plateau. But, to answer your question, when I was in the train accident. I was mid-recording my first album, and that then led to me realizing pretty fast that life is very fragile. Hence, then I recorded the Sting song Fragile on the album right next to some Strauss. So that then influenced the fact that I was a classically trained singer and then doing pop music as well. That had never been done before. And then I was touring and enjoying all of that. And as I mentioned, a few years ago I was diagnosed with breast cancer. By the way, I'm I think 6 years clean now, so that's awesome. It shattered my world again, because you just get on your feet and you're enjoying life. And I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and you just look up to the heavens and just think, what on earth is going on? And you have to really just take a very big deep breath and realize that life continues. And even though I've mentioned those certain points in my life, that also in itself cannot be the suitcase that I'm carrying around. That's the list of things that I've gone through, that we have to let go of stuff in in a sort of way of, well, so what? In the kindest way of saying that. We go through getting a job and losing a job, making an album, or not working with people, or boyfriends and girlfriends and husbands and wives and so forth. I mean, it's constant change, and we have to, just like a river, go with the flow and try our very hardest to take time to work on ourselves. And that's what I really love about connecting with projects like Album 22, because whether it's yourself, Laura, or the founder of this organization, Jared, it's synergistic, and we're all on the same wavelength. And the more we tap into who we really are, then suddenly these wonderful stepping stones into that pathway open up, which you would have never imagined. And then the magic of life really happens.
Absolutely. And you can feel that magic. And I love that that was such an intentional insertion into the experience of this song, particularly.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of musical influences, who would you say your biggest influence has been over the years?
Oh, it's such a tough question, but I think I always go back to Ennio Morricone. He passed away a year or so ago. He's world-renowned, an incredible film composer. He composed the music for The Mission, for Cinema in Paradiso, just beautiful, rich strings. And that, for me, really resonates. Artists such as Barbara Streisand and Celine Dion and all the greats, that are around, anything from, Ella Fitzgerald, and so forth, that the true instrument always amazes me whenever I put their music on. But I have no boundaries. And whether I'm working, as I mentioned, in my vocal academy with rock artists or pop artists or jazz artists, it's important for me, when I'm listening to music and when I'm working with other singers, to not have any boundaries. And that's the same in day-to-day life. It comes from no place of judgment, so that I'm not sat here on a pedestal, but I just want to be open, just like my Golden did. She didn't run up to someone and go, "Oh, I don't think you're for me. No, I'm not." No, she would just, show her tennis ball and say, "Hey, do you want to throw me a tennis ball?" No matter where they come from, whether they were homeless or whether they were living in Beverly Hills, it didn't make any difference to her. And I think when we just try to, really come from a place with people that everyone has the same issues, right? We're all going through similar things. And so, to answer your question, musical influences, really anything from 1920s film music all the way through to rock and pop and jazz artists that have a message. And that's what's cool about this project, is you've got, all different types of genres. And that's, been my message from the very first day that I signed to Sony, was that why can't you put Strauss next to Sting? Because we don't always wear red dresses. I mean, sometimes I'll wear, full-blown concert gowns when I'm performing, and other times I'll just wear a t-shirt and shorts if I'm hiking. Life is all about a little bit of everything. Yeah.
I feel like this interview is like that in terms of the ebbs and flows. And I so appreciate your bringing attention to that pattern and bringing it back to how it relates to music. How do you take people on that journey when you're creating that process and experience?
I love that question. I've never been asked that question before. Two things: when someone's wanting me to perform, they obviously ask, what's your repertoire, what's your song list going to be? And it's for example, I have a concert coming up in Rhode Island in September, and I'll be singing classical pieces, but I've also reinterpreted some very powerful Whitney Houston songs. We haven't heard any of that for a while, and I've completely reorchestrated it so it fits within my genre. And I think it's about the message. It either has to be the music or the message. And for me, the message is very, very powerful. One of the songs, When You Believe, by Whitney Houston, it's really saying miracles can happen, right? No matter what. If we truly believe, no matter what is going on, once we've had our greens juice, a cup of coffee, or whatever it is in the morning, we have to really check in with ourselves and think, what do I really believe? What could be possible? Let me just see, And for those out there who are questioning that, I really encourage you to just try it. If you're thinking, right, I'd love to create this, or I'd love to sing like this, or I'd love to work with this person, just go at it as if it's already happened, as if it's already happening, and suddenly the dots begin to join. When I'm working with clients, and they're in their box of what they think is possible, there's nothing more that gives me so much joy to just gently open up that box and tear away and shed away, like the old skin, and you see them begin to grow. And as you know, the voice is the throat chakra, and it's not about how good of a singer you are. It's about, are you connected from the root, from the core? Like what is it that makes you tick? And all the way from your heart, are you open? And then your throat, you can do anything you want to do. If you want to sing singer songwriter or pop or classical, like, take the shackles off and realize that nobody is stopping you. And this flow of really almost kind of like, Conor McGregor's kind of training, boxer training. That's what I love. I'm all like in my lovely red dress here this morning, but I get down and really just get into it, of just like, you can do this, whether it's a David Goggins, the gentleman who was challenged to get into the Navy and the Army and all the rest of it, and he's got 1 million awards now, and he's a great inspirational speaker. Whether it's a Tony Robbins, whether it's Mahatma Gandhi or a Nelson Mandela, you choose your people, and it doesn't have to be a British opera singer, that resonate with you, to say, what, get up, do the things you need to do, work hard, and you can create anything you want to create. I mean, look at Jared. Look what you and him have pulled together from artists all over the world. It's insane, really, when you think about it. Yeah. It's great. It's the good stuff.
It's so amazing. And I love that you are one of those artists. And as you were sharing that very significant wisdom, that I hope whoever needed to hear that really felt that in your heart. My question kind of came up around, as someone that sits there being able to offer that advice from an embodied place, because you've went through the journey of transformation to actually integrate the lessons you learned and now embody a new energetic signature to contribute the wisdom you learned from all of that journey. So you're sitting in the arrived butterfly phase stage, so to speak. But was there a time when you were not yet
Oh, yes,
transformed? And then speak from from your remembrance of that space, if you could.
Oh, well, it's very rare that I share it, generally because people not necessarily wanting to hear the tough bit, right? But uh, nature's work to shed its skin, whether it's a snake, whether it's the caterpillar to the butterfly, whether it's, the deer or the mammals on the mountainside looking for food for weeks, not a day, but weeks until they get something. Nature has a way that it's pretty tough. It's not easy, the little shoots that have to come up through the ground and force that we think it's all light and butterflies, but they have to do the work. And when just very briefly, I trained all my life to become this singer. I didn't know that I would become a singer. I trained at the Royal College of Music, and I was just focused on one thing. You get your degree and all of that, and I had a mission. I got signed. That was all incredible. I toured. It was just magical. It was a lot of hard work. The train crash happened. My life collapsed. I lost my voice for a year through shock. And you have to decide, well, hang on a minute, I'm still super young, so I have maybe 80 years ahead of me, all being well. Am I going to live in this shock state of PTSD and anxiety and nervousness, or am I going to figure out a way? So that was the very beginning. Then you get back on the horse and you start to live life again, and then you start to sort of maybe reverse slightly, and the panic attacks come again, or the struggles come again, and you forget the teachings of meditation, yoga, and so forth. And I'm talking about a 10-year 15-year window. I'm not talking about a week's course for anybody who's listening. um, Breast cancer hits, and a few challenging other experiences in my life, and you just think, well, hang on, I've taken one for the girls here. So again, I'm still young. Either I live in fear that it's coming back again, and I'm a cancer survivor, and I can't stand that word because it just has respect to everybody out there, but it just for me has connotations of I've given up. I survived it, and so it's kind of hanging in the background. And I cried and I was desperate, and I struggled. I had nightmares. I thought it was going to come back again. All the drips in me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't lift my arm. It took me 3 years to be able to lift my arm up like this. So obviously in any vocal session now, I'm like, yes, I can do it. I feel strong because I can actually move my arm. Do I have scars on me? Absolutely. Can I do press ups and push up like I used to? A few, but not as many. But you know what? I'm not in a wheelchair. I can still do this. I can still sing. I'm here to tell the story. We have to be bright because there are so many that have gone, didn't have the luxury. Yes, I had a mastectomy and I lost half of me, but I'm here. And that's the thing, as we go through, we don't have to get to that trajectory. So, and by the way, it's not in my family. That was all stress induced where I got it in the first place, for anybody who's wondering. It's crucial that the amount of work you're doing to pull this project off, that we kind of just take a second for ourselves, whether we go through divorce or not, or children are not doing well, maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of mental health issues out there right now, whether you're 12 or whether you're 75. And people are living in fear, and I never want to diminish that, but it's a choice, isn't it, of what we're choosing to take in through our eyes and through our ears, and so that we can just protect ourselves. Because, for example, I went for a beautiful run this morning, and the deer are there in the lake, and and anyone who's listening, I don't want it to sound like, well, it's okay for you, how nice you went for a run, but it's important for us to look at the bees or the butterfly and just they're chilling, like we can in a very small way take that in, as well as get prepared with everything else we have to do. So it was very gritty. It was very, very challenging. And even just down to the yearly mammograms, I've now made a choice that either I can live in fear Or I can be like, no, I'm done with it. I finished. I'm good. I'm not getting it again. It's how we approach things. Um, our minds and our core and our heart, they have to flow. This biofield around us, not to get techie, is, you know, an unspoken kind of field that has to flow from the root all the way through, up and around. And you know, if we're crying all the time, or if we're stressed all the time, or if certain parts of our body aren't working, there's a reason why, because we're at dis-ease. So we have to go through the things we go through. We did that, done it, and it's finished. Get rid of it. Let it go. Goodbye. Next.
What a gift. Yes, you are definitely one who I love, because you have so many huge stories that you tell in such a succinct and simple way, because they're your experiences, and you debunk what so many use as an excuse to not move forward with their lives, but to stay stuck in that past. And you're just like, throw it out, like, thanks, I extracted the lessons, and appreciate the wisdom, and understand my role in creating some of my circumstances, and I take responsibility for what I can, and I'm not blaming myself for any of it, and from this place I'm just going to create the next best thing that I could possibly create. So I'd love for you to be able, as we kind of wrap up today, Summer, to speak into, you've got September, you've got some exciting stuff coming up. What else is coming up in Summer's world?
Well, it's a very exciting time. One of my other singles, called Home, which is not yet released, actually just, I was told last week, 2 weeks ago, that it was in the finalists for the Cannes Film Festival. So that was very exciting.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm very excited to be a part of this album 22, sharing my message with anybody who needs to just feel a little bit better, working with nonprofits, you know, from kids, foster kids, and kids, you know, going through tougher times, to try to, you know, open up the field that is possible to do small steps of something to help other people. And in terms of music, I'm performing in Rhode Island, and in October out in Miami. And the most exciting thing right now is the Academy. So everything that I have lived through is now channeled into my vocal sessions. So there are courses for health and wellness, through singing, and there are courses for singers of any level. And so I encourage everyone to check out summerwatsonofficial.com and reach out. If you've never sung before, this is your time, just to feel like, you know what, I've got friends and family at home, I want to just stick some karaoke on YouTube, but I have no idea how to sing and I'm frightened of it. Let's break through those fears, because that then will help you in your daily life. And I'm having so much fun working with clients doing that.
Yay, that's amazing. We'll definitely share the links underneath of the video when we get it reposted to YouTube. And as the final point for today, Summer, I'd love for you to give a heartfelt piece of advice to somebody that may still be in that chrysalis stage of their metamorphosis, and they're really struggling. And I'd really love for you to just kind of speak with them for a moment.
If you are in the darkest of days and struggling, whether it be through crying, or you're angry, you're frustrated, it's overwhelming, from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed, you need to have a lovely shower. You need to eat something and sit down at your desk and write down all the things that you would love to create in your life. And then what you need to do, even if you don't feel connected to it, even if you don't know, just write the smallest of things. And then what you need to do is break it down so small that it's literally like the tiniest little nut that you're going to be able to manage to digest. The smallest of steps, whether it be to call a friend, or apply for a job, or have one conversation with your family, just one thing. And the crucial element is to check it off and to acknowledge. And as the days build, you acknowledge more and more and more and more, and you start to grow and you start to review everything that you have worked on. And I promise you this, that you will get through it. You are at whatever point you're at in your life, and you were born into this world, and there is only one of you. And so it's your right to be happy, to be joyous, and to work hard and seize every breath of life.
Love it. What happens if somebody's in that reactive space where their creativity is completely in the past and they're not feeling even inspired to write one thing on that list?
If they're not feeling creative, I would recommend to get into nature. Even if you're not a kind of get into nature type person, as David Goggins says, and if anybody doesn't know who he is, just find him on Instagram or Google him. He's amazing. David Goggins, Goggins. And you just put a pair of sneakers on and go for a short walk, something. And you may not feel anything the first time. And then the next time you go a little bigger and you maybe see a neighbor and you say hello to them. And you start to build on that, because when we can tap into nature, that really helps us to feel a little bit more grounded. And from there, if they're musicians, writers, filmmakers, and so forth, try to listen to different genres of music, different artists and different film directors and great creators out there, to try to get out of what you think it should look like. Because once we get out of that, that's when the magic happens.
Yes.
Magic. And if that doesn't work, just go up to someone and give them a hug.
Yes, magic all around. I love those extra 3 tidbits that might be able to help somebody that is not in your best state of mind. And then also just to point out that mental health and being in your mind is not in your heart. And that's what nature does. It drops us back to our own nature to be able to come back in this moment and shine the way that this beautiful lady is doing today. So it has been an absolute pleasure, Summer Watson, to get to share this opportunity with you and learn more about you, your story, your music, your inspirations, what's coming. And I very much look forward to when we do the next summit with Album 22. And you're able to come on and interact with everyone else that's on. So thank you for being your authentic self and doing everything that it took for you to become who you are, Summer.
Oh, Laura, your words are so magical, so beautiful. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm delighted to be part of Album 22. And I would love to wish your granddad, your papa, a very happy birthday.
Thank you. He's 88 today, so I will pass that message on and say thank you, and may you reach 88 and beyond as well. So thank you so much, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. It's better that way. It'll happen every day. As we change our ways, it's love that we had nowhere. Can we see the light? This world tonight we carry on our shoulders a new day, 'cause our love is burning around. Choice to say your smile can chase all our fears away. Today's not just another day with the sun.